Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roll and Move Reviews Live. Thank you so much for joining us. I am here today, joined as always by my special co-host. You know him as the Retro Gamer from Board Game Blender. Please welcome Asdruval Cervantes. How you doing?
Hello, hello. Still no sound effects?
No, they dropped everything out there. I mean, there's nothing. I was looking at their apps. They took all the apps out. So I don't know. We may have to find another source here sooner or later. Somebody who can give us some fun stuff to play around with. But for now, this is we're kind of on our own. I think that's the first time I ever
Okay.
tried to pronounce your last name. Did I pronounce it right?
You put an R in there at the end.
Did I?
Yeah, it's Cifuentes.
Cifuentes. Sorry about that. I should know.
That's all right.
I don't bother with my last name because I didn't know I was going to get it right. So, all right. So, how you doing? It's been a while since it's just been you and me on our own. We had a little scheduling difficulty, last minute snafus, so it's just going to be you and me today hanging out,
Yeah,
chatting it up, talking about some game stuff.
our scheduled guest, Tim Jeanette, also known as the Metal Meeple, had a gaming convention this weekend that he's attending. I believe it's called Lexicon in Lexington, Kentucky. So
Okay.
he's out there enjoying the convention and just had a little scheduling mix up there. So it's just me and you today.
All right, we'll have Tim on soon. I know we've been trying to get him on for a while, and just stuff's been happening. But yeah, we'll definitely have him on soon. So how have you been? How did your I've been wondering how your public appearances went for Tabletop Day.
You know what? It was a little disappointing this year.
Why's
As
that?
many people, I don't know. Even the store owners that I talked to, they weren't really getting that much support from Geek and Sundry.
Oh, really?
So I'm not really sure what happened. And they said that this happened last year too, but they said it was worse this year. As far as I didn't really get in deep to what went wrong, but Geek and Sundry didn't do a live like they normally did in the past, where Will Wheaton plays live games with celebrity people.
Yeah.
They didn't do that this year. I was a little underwhelmed. The turnout wasn't that great, so I was disappointed. Got to play some cool games, got to meet some people, but
Cool.
little disappointing.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. All right. Well, today we're going to talk about a couple things. Since it's just you and I, we're just a couple months removed from our top 50 all-time list. Today we're going to talk about just the games, I guess you call it. On Board Game Geek they call it the hotness. The games that we're really focused on right now. The games we've been playing, a lot of games we've been thinking about. And then after that, we'll have a very special edition one-on-one game of Stump the Chump. So now I guess we could do our list first. Again, we're doing a top 10 of the games we're playing now. And just as well, give me your thoughts as you're putting this this list together. What was going on in your head?
Well, before we get started and all that, and you froze for a second there.
Okay.
So
Am I back?
before we get, yeah, you're back on. Before we get started and all that, how did you get into board gaming? We always ask these guests how they got into it. How
Sure.
did you start?
I started when I was a kid. Board games were like like party games, family games, Trivial Pursuit, that kind of stuff was always something my family did. I remember being a kid sitting on people's laps, while they were playing Trivial Pursuit, and just really getting absorbed. I like the competition. My family was always really competitive, so any type of game or sports situation, we were always interested in participating in. I got in. I mean, I'm big into like Fireball Island and those kind of games that were big in the '80s. Those kids games. Played a lot of those. Really wasn't too into it, like growing up, like junior high, junior high or so. Kind of fell away from, but I did get into role playing games. 7th, 8th, 9th grade, I got into a group. We played a lot of RPGs, and we were pretty dedicated. And that went all through high school and young adulthood. Eventually, though, games, the RPG group, because real life happening, people getting married, getting jobs, having families, it became more and more difficult to get the same group of 4 or 5 guys, in a room together on a weekly or bi-weekly, however often basis, just because so much was going on. So, we try with RPGs. There'd be a lot of start and stop. We'd start a campaign of something, maybe get 1 or 2 games deep, and somebody would just disappear for a while, and it would die off, and we'd try again, and it just wasn't working. So one day, my friend of mine, who was usually our GM, he came with his pile of games, and it was like, I think he had like Descent and Arkham Horror, and I think he might have had Dominion at that point too. But he bought maybe half a dozen games, and he was at a game store looking at RPG stuff, and he came across this, and he's like, well, let's try this out. And so we started to get into that, and basically it became the substitute for us for RPGs because we couldn't get the same group together. It was like, okay, well, whoever shows up on Friday night, this is what we're going to play. And it'll be one and done. We'll be finished. That's it. So kind of took the place of the role playing games, and now we've talked about going back to RPGs every once in a while, just maybe trying to get something back, and we kind of dipped our toe in the water. But for the most part, board gaming has completely replaced that for us, and that's what we do on a regular basis now.
Yeah, I would imagine how hard it could be with an RPG that you have to have the same people all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you're playing, and it does, especially when you get older. Life happens, and I could see where that's coming from. How many years ago was that then?
That we started board gaming?
Gaming.
I think it was 2009 or 10 that we really started to get into it.
Interesting. I'm on the same boat as you. My parents, well, my mother primarily, we were poor. Maybe she was right, maybe she was wrong. I don't know. But we used to get games, hand-me-down games from thrift shops, garage sales, whatever. And they're always missing pieces, always missing rules. So we'd have to. And of course, back then there was no internet to look up the rules. It's like, well, let's just do it this way or whatever. And then it's really funny because years later, I would find the rules online or find the game, and oh, that's how you play it. Oh, interesting. Never knew that before. Oh, this is a very important piece to have. That's why it didn't work. Stuff like that. It went through that all throughout my childhood. And then again, in middle school, friends were playing D&D, and I could never get into it because my mother thought that D&D was, demonic and satanic, and it's the gateway to hell or whatever she would say. So I was pretty much forbidden to play D&D, and for whatever reason, I listened to what my mother told me. I don't know why, but I just did. So, I'm going to play D&D. Okay, whatever. Long time, never really got to dive into D&D, but growing up, still playing the board games that you buy at Toys R Us or whatever. 1993 hit, and then I discovered Magic.
Mm-hmm.
I was already at the house by then, and that's what catapulted me into tabletop gaming is Magic. Played Magic for a lot of years, and then discovered that, oh my gosh, Europeans were still making board games when here in America they kind of stopped for a while. I kind of got introduced to Catan and a lot of other Euro style games, and then I've been playing ever since 1993. So pretty much all my life, but seriously since '93.
Okay, yeah, that I guess I should count that too. I had a in the mid to late '90s when the whole collectible game thing really started to get hot after Magic. I did dabble in that a little bit. I really couldn't take it. I wasn't very good at it to begin with, and to pile all my money into something that I invest a couple $100 in something you just would get beat all the time. I was like, I don't want to do this, and I completely got out of collectibles after I delved into HeroClix for a while, and I poured poured a irresponsible amount of money into that game, and then WizKids made some rules changes and kind of rendered my entire collection obsolete. So I was like, I'm done with that. And I swore off collectibles forever after that. So I guess that's part of my gaming history too. Is I did spend some time doing collectible stuff.
Yeah, back then when Magic first got started, I got in at the ground floor with the alpha set, and nobody knew how much these cards were going to be worth, and I was literally just giving them away.
Oh wow.
Play and say, oh yeah, go ahead and keep that deck. I got more cards, not knowing that they're worth a lot of money now.
Do you know any specific games or any specific cards you gave away that are like worth a lot of money now?
I know there was Black Lotuses, all the Moxes, dual lands, all the stuff that's worth a lot of money. But like I said, nobody knew the worth of them. So it was kind of a dumb thing on my part. But it is what it is.
Yeah. That's like people's moms throwing away the old Superman comics. You never know.
Yeah. I think that's why I save everything now. I'm growing out of control of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my excuse too. It's all gonna be worth money someday.
Yeah. My wife still has boxes and boxes full of Beanie Babies.
Oh really? Are those things still worth anything?
I think that they've severely dropped off the planet, but she thinks that one day they might
make a comeback.
They make a comeback, right?
Well, hey, something else I want to point out too. I'm looking at our title tag here. This is our 10th episode, so it's a little bit of a milestone for us.
Really?
Yeah, we made it to 10 episodes, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, let's talk about.
So since you froze up a little bit, I don't know if you froze up live on the replay, but let's recap of what we're going to be doing today.
Okay, yeah, we're going to be discussing our basically our hotness list. They call it, the Board Game Geek. They call it the hotness. The games that we're really focused on playing now, the games that we've been spending time with. Just right now, May 7th. 2017, just the games we're into. So we're going to go through we made our top 10 lists. And if you're watching live or, if you are later on in the comments, tell us what games you're focused on right now, what's hot for you right now. But before you start, Asdruval, let me ask a question again. When you were making your list up, what was going through your head?
What was going through my head is, again, they've actually hit the table. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I base this list on, and pretty much any list on. I already know that the game is. If I buy the game, and I've said this to you before, if I buy the game, I know that I already like it. I just don't buy it blindly. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of review watching, and then this is something that I'm interested in. So I always know that I'm going to like the game every game that I own, I like. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of how many times it hits the table, I think, is the way I base my lists on.
Sure. Cool. All right, that said, you want to go ahead and start out with your number 10?
Okay, my number 10 is Pokemon, the trading card game. Okay. It seems that this one goes up and down for me. A new set will come out, and then I'll get all excited. Oh, a new set's come out, and then it'll shoot back up, and then after a couple months, it'll kind of die off, and then another new set comes out. But my son is at that age where he's interested in this game now. So I've been showing him a new set just released Friday. So we went out and bought a bunch of boosters and starters, and I'm showing him how to play it, and he's grasping it pretty good. But that's always been a soft spot in my heart because I taught my 22-year-old daughter how to play Pokemon when she was little also. Mm-hmm. So Pokemon TCG.
Cool. All right, my list really reflects, what's been going on for me for gaming lately. Just a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I guess in the lives of, my people I game with, making them kind of unavailable. To me, I really haven't had access to all my gamers lately. So I've been doing a lot of gaming at home, gaming with the family, and so with a few exceptions, that my list really reflects that. A lot of old standbys, a lot of stuff that everybody can play. And speaking of old standbys, my number 10 is the DC Comics deck building game. I've been playing this one a lot with the family. Everybody knows how to play it. It's nobody's favorite but it's something everybody will play. There's times we're sitting around the table. Someone will suggest a game. Somebody else says, "Oh, I don't want to play that." Somebody else, that person suggests a game. Nobody wants to play that one, and we'll go through that cycle. And it's like, well, let's play DC, and nobody's thrilled to be playing it, but it's something that we all get to the table quick. We all enjoy enough that we can, like I said, get it played. So that's been finding its way back to the table. After a while, there was a time in my regular gaming group where this was maybe maybe for the span of a year, this was our most played game, just because it was, a filler that everybody could play and we get to the table quick, whether it be early, before we started the big game, or after that was over and no one wanted to quite go home yet. We played a lot of the DC deck builder. But for my family, like I said, it's been finding the way back to the table. So that's my number 10, DC Comic Deck Builder.
Are they still doing expansions for that?
They are doing. They haven't done any like big boxes in a while. The last one that came out, I think, was the Teen Titans one, either last year or the year before. What they're doing is these mini expansions, and call them crisis packs. And then there's ones where they'll just put out, like they have one for the Watchmen, they have one for Legion of Superheroes, and it'll be a few new villains, few new heroes, a couple new mechanics. I'm not a big fan of them because they kind of water the game down. Every new pack basically revolves around a new mechanic, the heroes that you get, their abilities are based on those mechanics, but they may only add 10 cards to a stack of cards that's already that thick. So, you may get if you're playing one of those characters, you may need those 10 specific cards to trigger your abilities. And like I said, it really waters it down. So I usually just stick to the couple of the base games.
Do you got something against Legendary?
I don't hate it as much as my group does. Our biggest problem, their biggest problem with it, my biggest problem with it too, they won't play it. I'd still be willing to play it. Their biggest problem with Legendary, at least the original game, is it's too random. The fact that we've probably discussed this before, just the fact that you may draw a villain in a group of heroes where it's impossible to defeat the villain, or it's completely easy. There's no chance to not win. I'd love for them to put out like a scenario book for that. But that's we don't play Legendary that often.
Do you own a copy?
I don't. Buddy of mine does.
Okay. That's the same thing with me too. I don't have the DC, but I do own the Legendary. I don't think I've ever played the DC one before.
It's a solid deck builder. I mean, it's general, like, just center row deck builder. Again, that's why we play it, because it's so easy to play and so easy to get to the table.
Right. I'm not really. I'm more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy.
Yeah, it's understandable. And a lot of people complain about the DC deck builder. It's not being thematic enough, and it's thematic in an abstract way. But I can see why people complain about it.
Okay. All right. So my number 9 is Hit Z Road. That one's seen a lot of play the beginning of the year. It's a zombie game where you're trying to get across the United States, and it's got a bidding mechanic. You bid to see which path you're going to take, and obviously you're going to take the path of least resistance, but you have to be careful about the things that you're bidding with, because they're worth points at the end of the game. So it's a really interesting game. It's my wife's a really big zombie fan, so anything zombie, she'll give it a try, once or twice. But this was an easy one, and one that she enjoys a lot. 9, Hit Z Road.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen a couple reviews for that. That looks like it's a pretty good game. Who's the designer on that?
Martin Wallace. Wallace.
All right. Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's stuck with me. Martin Wallace zombie games, kind of not something you'd expect. All right. My number 9 is a 2-player game called Tides of Time. And again, a lot of these games on the list, it's just about accessibility to the table. And Tides of Time, I don't have. At least I'm seeing a weakness in my collection of 2-player games. Don't have a lot of good 2-player games to get to the table. So there's just 2 of us. Options are kind of limited. And this is one we've been getting to the table lately. And this is one where It's a very simple, basic, very quick 10-minute civilization game. You draft cards, and based on the cards you draft, each one has a scoring mechanism on it, and you build. I think you draft 5 cards per round, and the 5 cards you end up determine how the points you score, how you're going to score, and it's a fun, quick little game. And again, it's good if we have 3 or 4 players, but only 2 have shown up so far, only 2 are available. My nephew and I play this a lot when my wife's putting the kids to bed. We're waiting for her to come down to play the whatever the big game is going to be for the night for us. So it's a fun little game, tides of time.
That's one that I need to try out. Everybody keeps talking about it. I need to get more 2-player games also in my collection. I don't think I have enough. So what we're on number 8?
8, yep.
8. My number 8 is a game called Salvation Road. Salvation Road is set in a post-apocalyptic world to gather resources, different resources, whatever card is drawn. Say you need medicine, you need fuel, you need weapons or ammo. And again, it's one of those where you're trying to make it to a place called Salvation, where you're going to be safe from these crazy marauders. They call them marauders, which are the bad guys of the game. So you have to collect the resources and put them in your truck, but you don't know exactly what you're going to need last card over. So you have to collect, a couple of this, a couple of that, a couple of that. But then you also have to, every turn, you're going to flip over a card and it says it's an event and you're going to have to spend some of the resources that you've collected. So it's kind of like a push your luck. Do we stay in the compound one more turn to collect more resources, or do you think we got enough to make it to Salvation? It's a really interesting game, one that I don't win a lot at. Usually we end up losing by like 1 or 2 resources. Very exciting though, very exciting. And are we going to make it? It's really super exciting. So that's my number 8. It's called Salvation Road.
Is that a co-op?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what kind of level of I've looked at this game briefly. What level of complexity would you say that's there?
I'm gonna say it's medium, not really gateway-ish, but medium weight. It takes about 45 minutes to play. Okay. I've taught a lot of people this game, people that really aren't into games. It's super easy to teach.
Okay, cool. My number 8 is actually, this one is one I haven't played with the family. This one I played it at at a meetup I went to last month. Name of the game is Pirates, Ninjas, Robots, and Zombies from, I believe, Rather Dashing Games publishes it. This is one I've seen on the shelf at a local game store for years now. And it always kind of sits in like the Flux, Munchkin kind of area games where they kind of put the games that aren't really gamer games, kind of just like the kind of like those like cheaper looking thrown together games that don't look they have a lot to them. So I've always kind of just overlooked it, never really gave it much thought. Girl brought this to the meetup last month, and was looking for players. I said, I'll give it a try. I was kind of in between games, nothing going on. I'll give it a try, see what it's all about. And it was actually a very interesting game. I don't know, have you ever played it?
I've heard about it, but I've actually never played it.
Yeah, it's a tile laying game, and you have those 4 factions: pirates, ninjas, robots, and zombies. And basically, what you're trying to do is lay tiles down and create the biggest possible area connecting of your faction. There's different symbols that score different ways, and there's ways that that your opponents can put stuff down next to yours. They'll subtract points. There's tiles that you manipulate the board, move things around, and you score the biggest connecting space of all your symbols, your color. So it's a very light game, very simple game. I'm going to probably pick it up now to play with my family because it's something everybody can play. That kids could pick up on this real easy. Very simple concept, simple rule set, but it's still really interesting and fun to play and just determine how you're going to place things and how you're going to move things around. So it's a nice little surprise and a game I'm really interested in getting on the table more. Pirates, Ninjas, Robots, and Zombies.
I think they have a couple of expansions for that also. They've like added some factions, I think.
Okay,
Not
I
really
wasn't aware of
sure.
that.
One of the designers is mm, he's on a ghost show. He hosts a ghost show. I forgot what his name is.
Okay.
Um, I
Oh,
don't
is it
know. And
one of those Ghost Hunter shows?
yeah, a ghost hunter show. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And the name has escaped me, and the name of the show has escaped me also. But he's a co-designer of the game.
Okay. Yeah, I think
So
somebody
it's
actually
like
mentioned that. You bring it up. Somebody mentioned that while we were playing. Something
yeah,
about that because I remember somebody talking about Ghost Hunters. That's pretty cool.
right. Yeah, it's cool. Okay, my number 7, I can't seem to shake, and I'm ashamed to say that the publisher dropped the ball. It's WWE Superstar Showdown.
Mhm.
I mean, every person that I show this game absolutely loves it. And they're not really wrestling fans. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to like this game. That's
Mhm.
what's the appeal of it is. I'm just really sad that Gale Force 9 is just not supporting. They just brought out the game and not even supporting it anymore at all. Like they've not even one iota of them saying anything about it, and it's a shame because they could do so much more with it. Like for people like you, bring out classic wrestlers. They have a whole roster full of people. I mean, what would it take? Every 3 months to come out with 2 more figures and a deck of 20
Yeah.
cards. You
Mhm.
know, it takes nothing. And there's threads and threads on Board Game Geek, people making their own, wrestlers,
Sure.
because it only uses a rock paper scissors mechanic to it. Really super easy and just a lot of fun. That's WWE Superstar Showdown.
Yeah, I remember when this came out, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be like a sandbox. They can do anything they want with this. And I don't. Do they still? Did they maintain the license? Do they still have it?
That I don't know. When I go to Gen Con, I'm going to go to their booth and I'm going to ask them actually point
Yeah.
blank right to their face.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, I'd love to see. I haven't. I haven't watched. I think we've talked about this before. I haven't watched. Faithfully in a long time. But I mean, for when I was a kid up until like like late '90s, early 2000s, I was really into it. I'd love to see them bring some of those guys into that game. But yeah, that's what they definitely need to do more with.
Yeah, that's a shame that that never materialized or didn't happen.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. My number 7 is a game, one of my all-time favorites that I hadn't gone to the table in a while, and recently had a resurgence, and that is Last Night on Earth from Flying Frog. We did our top 50 a couple months ago. This is my number 1 game of all time. And spoiler alert. But this one is one that I just, for whatever reason, sometimes most people aren't as big a fan of this game as I am. So it does. I can't get the tables often. A lot of people just humor me sometimes and play it. But again, my nephew on this one was really excited just to get this to the table. He brought it out and he brought out his copy and wanted to play it. So we got to the table a couple times. Really enjoyed it. Always glad to get this one back to the table. But especially after not having played it for a while. But that's my number 7, Last Night on Earth.
Now, when you mentioned your nephew, is that Cody?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is he the only nephew that you play board games with?
No, actually, I have a couple others, and some games coming up here. I'll be talking about them too. But
Okay.
we try to, and again, I have some of my nephews are into role playing games, and we're easing them into more board gaming territory.
Family full of nerds. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What number are we on?
That was my 7, so we'll be doing your 6.
Number 6. Number 6. I missed the first time around. Had to wait for it to be reprinted. And I'm kind of glad that I waited because they upped the artwork on it, kind of streamlined the rules a little bit, and that's Super Motherload.
Okay.
Super Motherload, you're just basically going down a board, mining for gems to bring them back up to the surface. Like I said, the first edition of the game, the artwork was really cheesy. the second edition of the game, the reprint, the artwork got amped up a little bit, so I'm kind of glad that I waited. Still a super fun game and really easy, really accessible. Got that a lot to the table in the last. So that was Super Motherload.
Okay. Yeah, I was introduced to this game a few months ago, either end of last year, beginning of this year, and really enjoyed that. I think I played. I'm assuming it was the second edition, but yeah, it's what I really liked. That the theme of that was really fun.
It was fun, yeah.
Cool. All right, my number 6 is another one that for a while ago we played a lot, went away for a while, and kind of just got back to the table recently, and that is Spectre Ops, and this is a hidden movement game, maybe if not my favorite hidden movement game, at least one of them top 3, just because it's so elegantly designed. I find with a lot of hidden movement games, it's really hard to find a balance. Either game naturally favors either the hunters or the hunted, one way or the other. It's either way too hard to find the person, or it's way too easy. And this one I think has a really elegant design. The way the board is laid out with the different nooks and crannies, and the way you move into a certain point will only get you vision in a certain area. And there's just something they're blocking that makes it just balances it out so that you can't see too far or you can't hide too well, and just the different characters are cool, a lot of fun, very thematic, almost like a superhero type roster characters, and again, real fun hidden movement game at Spectre Ops.
Spectre Ops, that's another one that I haven't tried playing yet either. What's the running total playtime on that one?
It depends. I think we got to table 3 times in one night last week. The first game was over in like 8 rounds, so I mean it was probably 15 minutes, and then the next 2, it's I'd say maybe hour and a half. And it depends. That's with 3 people. It plays 2 to 5, and that's the other cool thing about the game is there's subtle changes from depending on how many players you have. If you play up to 5, you throw in a hidden trader element. One of the hunters is actually a trader, so the game changes as you do as you increase your player count. But yeah, it's not a very long game at all.
Okay, cool. So my number 5 is the Pathfinder adventure card game, The Skull and Shackles. After about a year and a half, probably almost 2 years of owning this game, I'm still playing it because they had just so much content for it. I think there's like 8 different adventure packs, and each adventure pack has like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different scenarios in it.
Sure.
I'm only halfway through the game. It's a little bit more. I play this game solo because for me, trying to explain it to somebody else is like really difficult. I mean, there's a lot to this game. The rule book is, I don't know, 20-something pages long. Mm-hmm. And even after reading it over, 10 times, I still didn't understand it. I had to, YouTube video it. But it's a game that I enjoy playing solo. I'm trying to get through the whole adventure. I might even try the new one that just came out, the Mummy's Mask. I believe it's an Egyptian-themed one. I might try that one out. But I'm, after almost 2 years, I'm still enjoying it, and it's still a new game every single time I play. Sure. Just for the sheer fact that it's got all these adventures associated with it. That's solo. So that's Pathfinder adventure card game, Skull and Shackles.
Cool. My group started we got the original base Pathfinder card game, and again, remember how I talked about how difficult it is for us to keep a role playing campaign going. It's also very difficult for us to keep any kind of board game with a campaign element going. So I think we got maybe 3 or 4 sessions into that one, and it kind of just disappeared into the mist after that. So haven't played that one since, but I did really enjoy it. And the Skull and Shackles, that's a pirate theme, right?
That's a pirate theme one, yeah.
See, that sounds pretty cool. I'd like to try that. All right, we're on 5, right?
Yeah.
My number 5 is one I talked about probably a month or so ago on the show. I got introduced to it at a meetup at the end of the year last year. Was hard to find. They went out of stock. They did a reprint, and I was able to get my hands on it. And that's King Domino. Again, very simple game, tile laying, a little bit of kingdom building. Has kind of like a simplified Carcassonne element where you're just trying to connect different areas and territories, and just a really cool drafting mechanic where you lay out, this turn. How if you have 4 players, you lay out 4 tiles, and then you have the next round's 4 tiles laid out, and whoever picks first. Um, you know, if you pick first and you want the best one's number 4, you go to number 4, you get that best piece because they're numbered. They're laid out by numbers, so they're laid out best piece, worst piece to best piece. So you want that best piece, that you're going to get it, but you're going to be picking last on the next round. It just keeps go snowballing like that. So really fun mechanics for drafting your piece, a lot of decision making, and just a really simple little tile laying game building your little area. So that's a lot of fun, King Domino.
Most of these games that you're saying, probably all of them, I have never even played before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a fun game. I don't know if you're into like tile laying, Carcassonne type stuff, but it really simplifies it. Like I said, it's almost like a 2-part game. The first part is the drafting mechanic where you're kind of competing with everybody, and then the second part is building your kingdom, which that's almost like a solitaire thing. You're just doing on your own, and you're trying to connect everything. And there's bonus points if you can use all your tiles. There's bonus points if you can perfectly make a square grid with your kingdom, with your castle in the middle. So just a lot of cool stuff going on that one in a little tiny box.
Okay, we're on number 4 here.
Correct.
My number 4 is Coal Baron, the great card game. Now,
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the board game Coal Baron. So they took the game and made it into a card game. So I was thinking to myself when I heard them announce this, I said, "Oh, cool! It's going to be a card game." It's a totally different game. The mechanic is the same. It's a worker placement game, but the worker placement is with the cards. So I found it really interesting that it's the same theme. You're still mining for coal, and you're still trying to get the most coal out of the ground. But just for me, it's just a different game. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, I already own Coal Baron, but I don't really need to own the card game." And not so. It's just for me, it was a totally different experience. Again, one that's really simple to teach, and that's a Coal Baron, the great card game.
That's cool. I've never played either of those, either the board game or the card game.
They're really fun.
Cool.
You should try it. You should start with the card game.
All right. My number 4 is Splendor. And the main reason this is on the list where it gets played a lot, this is one of my wife's favorites. And again, like I said, lately been doing most of my gaming at home. I asked my wife to play games. She might say, I don't want to play. I say, well, we can play Splendor, and that really ups the odds that we're going to play it. So this gets to the table a lot. And it's a game I enjoy. I really like it. We did about a month or so ago. We just did like a little family getaway for the weekend, and we took Splendor and we got to play that. Her and I got to play that. The kids played a little bit, but her and I played more. And the kids, my son isn't a big fan of it, but her and I enjoy it, and that's why it's a fun game because it works for 2. It works for 2 to 4. It's a pretty solid game either way, and. Like I said, because my wife is usually willing to play this, even if she's not willing to play anything else, it's going to get to the table a lot.
Do you find that if you can get her to play that, you can say, okay, well, let's try this now after we're done with this?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on her mood. If she's in the mood to play something, like I said, usually if we start out with Splendor and she's willing to hang out and play games, we'll move on to something else. But if it's like, do you want to play games? No. Do you want to play Splendor? Oh, maybe. So that's usually why. I mean, it's like good to like. Usually, I'm trying to get her to play something else. I'll say, hey, let's play. We haven't played this in a while. I've got to play. Because she's kind of my guinea pig. If there's something no one else will play with me, I'm like, will you please play this with me? And most of the time she'll be cool about it playing for it. But if she's just like, no, I'm not playing anything, and I say, what about Splendor? Then there's a good chance that's come to the table.
Okay. I guess we're not lucky enough like Hunter or Rebecca would just play whatever.
Yeah.
That's what she wants to do is play board games all the time.
Yeah. I'm working on it though.
Okay.
I'm working on her. She's getting better at it.
All right. My number 3 is the Arkham Horror LCG.
Okay.
Now I'm a big fan of the Cthulhu, but Arkham Horror, the board game, just takes way too long for me to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I was excited when they announced the LCG. So it's not collectible, they just come out with a pack and you buy the pack and you get all the cards already. This is another game that I'm playing solo. Really enjoying it. I probably will never play it with, more than just myself.
Mm-hmm.
They just came out. Well, I got my hands on the deluxe expansion that just came out, which added three more scenarios. So I'm working my way through those with all the different characters. And even though I already know what's coming up, I try to see how far I can get with each of the characters that they have to offer. So I'm still enjoying that. The Arkham Horror LCG.
Cool. How many expansions do they have out for that now? Or how many packs?
They just have, I believe, the Mythos packs, which is just packs of 50 to 60 cards. They come out every month, I believe, and that doesn't give you new stories or new scenarios. That just gives you more cards to choose from a pool of cards. But it's the deluxe expansions that come out with the story arc, I guess I should call it. And they only have one of those besides the base game, which comes with 3, and then the deluxe edition, which comes with another 3.
Okay. And I mean, how does that compare? I haven't played it yet. Like, I know all those Fantasy Flight games in that Arkham Lovecraft universe kind of have the same feel, the same theme. How does that translate to the card game?
For me, a big plus is just the time. A game lasts, under an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's for me, time is a big factor. And when I go and start researching board games to buy, the first thing I look is how much time does it take to play. I don't care about if it's super simple or super complex. I don't care about that. The first thing I look is time.
Sure.
Time is of the essence for me because I don't have much of it.
Cool. All right. That was your number 3, right?
3, yeah.
Okay, my number 3. Once again, a very simple game here. That I picked up last year, I think, and again, it was when I got to the table when we first got it. Kind of, fell to the wayside, and now with the family getting back to the table a lot, that's Potion Explosion. And again, I think everybody's heard of this one. If you haven't played it, you've heard of it. Very cool tactile game. You have a tray of marbles, different colors, and you're pulling a marble out and trying to make the other colors combine to explode, and using those to make different potions and do different things. Kind of like a tabletop version of Candy Crush, or one of those get 3 games. Very, very fun, very quick to play. Anybody can play it. It's designed for the kids love it because it has that whole toy factor to it. And but so there's a lot of strategy if you look for it. Building your potions, and when you're how you use them. All the potions give you special powers and abilities. So I always really it went away from the table. It wasn't really one I lost interest in. I always really enjoyed it. So I'm glad to be getting that one back.
Is your box deteriorating in any way?
The actual marble box?
Yeah.
You know what? I haven't had that much problem with it. It's when I first got it, I had a little trouble like putting it together. If you sometimes the kind of cardboard stuff that goes in the slot. If you do it wrong, it starts kind of spread apart. I had a little trouble with that at the beginning, but it's still holding up for me. Why? Are you having trouble with yours?
I'm having trouble with mine. It's starting to, fray off on the ends, and every time, you put it, I mean, you have to be so careful because once it starts fraying, it
Yeah.
just goes out of control.
That was when I first heard of that game. My first thing was like, that game looks awesome, and my second thought was, is that thing going to fall apart right away? And I assume like I'm not playing it that much. So if you're playing it like a lot, like maybe 10, 12 times a week, I'm assuming you're going to start to see some wear and tear on it. But I haven't reached that stage yet where I'm worried about it like falling apart.
Right. Some of these older games that I have, where you have to put them together. I mean,
Yeah.
they're horrible. I mean, you have
Oh
to be
yeah.
so careful on how you put them in. I mean, some
Yeah.
of these are falling apart. It's just kind of sad because I still like them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, eventually there might be like some tape on this or something. But
Yeah.
well, what I did, the cool thing about the game is, how there's like there's two sides to all the pieces. There's like the nice, like pristine side, and then there's the side where you can build the box kind of look like it has some wear and tear on it, some cracks and
Mhm.
stuff. I purposely built it on that side, so if I had to add some tape or something, it would look kind of like it would just blend in with the rest, of like the distressed look of the box already. So
Right. Okay. My number 2 is Champions of Midgard. And I
okay,
think the only reason why this is on my number 2 is because I am eagerly awaiting the expansions, which will be here in June. I
okay,
kickstarted both the expansions, so
hmm
I'm really excited to get those. And it took them a long time to make an expansion because usually when a game's that hot as Champions of Midgard was, they
hmm
usually come out with an expansion pretty quick.
yeah,
But it's been a while since I mean, this is their first expansion, So I'm
hmm
really excited to get those expansions and breathe some new life into the game. That was my number 2, Champions of Midgard.
sure. I'm embarrassed to say I still haven't played that one, the base game yet. Really like the. I
It's
don't
super.
have it.
I mean, if you like Lords of Waterdeep, I mean, this is just Lords of Waterdeep with rolling dice, and it's just
Oh,
awesome.
okay. Oh, I'll have to check that out. That sounds fun. All right, my number 2 is Betrayal at the House on the Hill. And said earlier about talking about my nephews that play games. This is one I play with a lot of them. I have a couple nephews. One in particular who this is kind of like the game that got him into board gaming, so he likes to play it a lot. I got the expansion for Christmas, and I only opened it up about a month or so ago, and we got that to the table. So we've been playing a lot with the expansion, and I really enjoy it. I think the expansion adds a lot. Um, we've been lucky enough to roll. I don't do anything like I take the haunt. I don't manipulate the haunts at all. So I take what they give me. But we were lucky enough. We've played maybe 3 or 4 of the new haunts, and it's cool because they got a lot of different designers to create these haunts, and it was exciting to see. It's like, oh, this designer who I really like from this game, to get to see his take on Betrayal at the House on the Hill and how he designed the haunt. So we have fun with that. We've been playing that as often as we can. Just like I said, trying to explore it because again, that's a game that's not a perfect game. It has its flaws, it has its problems, but if you're playing with the right group of people, it can be a lot of fun, and we've really been having fun with it.
Right. I'm like you, during the haunts whenever, we roll and the haunt starts, I
Mm-hmm.
don't, if it's one that we've already played, I don't say, oh, well, let's pick another one. I just,
Yeah.
whatever it gives me, that's what it is. And I think I still have not run through all of the haunts in the base game. I think
Yeah.
I still haven't done maybe like 5 or 6 of them because
Oh,
it
I know.
just, that combination just never comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely haven't done anything in the base game, everything in the base game, and I mean, I've obviously just scratched the surface with the expansion. So still a lot to explore there, and yeah, like I said, there are a lot of serious gamers who don't enjoy that. So a lot of people that I can't get that to play with me. But like I said, the right group of people just who understand what the game is and what it's all about, and just take it for what it is. You can have a lot of fun with it.
Right. Okay. So my number 1 that has gotten a lot of play here in my house or in my gaming group is Clank.
Okay.
Just the base game. I haven't picked up the expansion, even though I've seen it in the stores. But Clank is one of those games that you look you look at and you're all, this is going to be super simple. You just got to get that first treasure right there and then get back out.
Yeah.
But no. A lot of people that I showed the game I said, okay, the opposite of the game is to get one of these artifacts and get out. And they say, even that one that's like right next to the door, yeah, if you want, it's not worth very many points. And that's when people, one person I play with went and grabbed that first treasure, then got out. But, I had more points than he did. So it's like, well, you should have stayed in there longer. It's one of those games that you look at and say, this is super simple, but no, it's got a lot going on to it. And that's Clank, my number one.
That's another one that I just been introduced to recently, and I really enjoyed it. I played it, and it was kind of, I just love that the whole feel of it. It's like you're kind of like tripping over each other, trying to get to stuff and push each other out of the way, and just trying to find your spot of what you're going to get and where you're going to go. So yeah, that's a really fun game. I really like that one. All right, excuse me. Trying to hold that in. My number one, like I said, most of these games are games that I've been playing with the family, not really too deep or gamey games necessarily, but just stuff I can get to the table here at home. This one is not that. My number one game is a game I played actually for the first time last night, finally able to get to the table, and that game is Terraforming Mars. Excuse me.
You got a copy of that. I still haven't got a copy of that.
Sorry. I did not get a copy of it. A buddy of mine was able to get his hands on it. So he and he's had it for, and I know people who have it. I go to meetups and there's like 2 tables of people playing Terraforming Mars. The timing never worked out for me. Like I'd show up and they already started, and then like the next one I was already doing something else. So never got to play it. I've watched it played. This is the first time I actually got to sit down and play it. And I'll tell you what, the hype. A lot of times games get hyped like that. You see them, you're like, that's not. The hype is real on this one. This is a really fun game. Have you been able to play it yet?
I have not been able to play it, and that's like on my top 2 lists. One of them, Role Player. The second one, Terraforming Mars, and I can't get a hold of either one.
Role Player is a good one too. But Terraforming Mars, really cool, great theme. I was afraid it was going to be a little dry, but it's really cool. You're playing these different corporations that are trying to, competing to terraform Mars, and it's really thematic, like the way each one gives you kind of like a starting resources basically, and then like an ability. And I had the corporation that was a TV network, and they were making Terraforming Mars into a reality show. And so just really cool things like that. And just all the cards are thematic, the different things you can do. You got to get, you're trying to get a certain amount of water, a certain temperature, and a certain amount of oxygen on the planet so you can, consider completely terraformed. And it's a game, the kind of game I love where you have so many options. There's so many games out there where you play them, and the only thing you're trying to do is win. And of course, you're trying to win every game you play, but there's that one thing you can do to win, and everybody's fighting for that. And if you can't do that, and you're failing at doing that, you're not having a good time. This is one of those games where you have so many options that no matter what you do, and if you're doing something wrong, you still feel like you're doing something and working towards something. I was playing it, and I had the friend who was showing it to me had a little more experience than me, so he was doing a little better. But even though I knew I wasn't competing that well, I was still able to enjoy it because I was building my engine and getting something done. You have all these cards, all these choices, and it's a lot of fun to do no matter what you're doing. So yeah, definitely as soon as you get a chance to play it, check it out. It's one I'm really eager to get back to the table again soon. That's Terraforming Mars.
I wanted so bad to try that. Just like I said, can't find anybody playing it and can't find a copy of it.
Yeah, it's a hard one to get your hands on.
I think they're doing a reprint on that one already.
They have to be. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. It's ridiculous not to. Everybody wants. I know they gave it away. A couple of friends of mine went on I think it was the Board Game Geek cruise, and they were giving it away. That was part of, every cabin got a copy of it. So they got to be doing a reprint soon because, like you said, nobody has it. Everybody wants it.
Right.
All right. Okay, so that's our top 10 the Hotness, the games we're playing now. Again, if you're watching, in the comments section, let us know what you think about these games. If you're playing any of these games, or if tell us the games you're playing now. What's really holding your interest. All right. We do not have a guest this week for Stump the Chump, so we're doing a special edition of Stump the Chump, a special one-on-one competition. Asdruval and I talked about
Kirk. This time we're both we're both the chumps this time.
I guess so. What we're gonna do
that
is
I'm sorry, that and plus the cone of silence is in the repair shop.
Okay, all right. Well, no need for the code of silence, and the guys in R&D were working on mine, so they didn't have it ready yet. Fortunately, we won't have it available yet, or isn't necessary today. What we're going to do is we both, Asdruval and I, both selected 5 categories, and we are going to ask each other 2 questions from each category, and we will we'll determine a winner. This is an exhibition. Asdruval's championship is not on the line here. This is just a friendly competition between the 2 of us to see bragging rights. This is for bragging rights. So we'll start out. Asdruval, as the reigning Stump the Chump champion, I will defer to you. Would you like to go be asked first or ask the questions first?
I am going to ask you the questions first, since you have never experienced this before.
Okay. I'm excited. This is my first foray into Stump the Chump.
Okay, here we go. The first 2 questions are on The Godfather.
All right.
Which you are an authority on.
We'll see.
Okay. What is the first line spoken in the Godfather movie?
I believe in America.
Correct. Boy. Okay. I might. Okay. Uh-oh. All right. Question number 2. I didn't go too deep. Okay. So.
All right.
Question number 2. Sonny orders the murder of his father's chauffeur because he was sick. What was his name?
Paulie.
Correct.
Oh, you won't see him no more.
2 for you. You won't see him no more, right? Okay. Question number 3. This is 80s movies. The category is 80s movies. The next 2 questions.
All right.
Okay. Which sport is the focus for the 1987 sequel, Teen Wolf 2? What sport do they play?
For Teen Wolf 2? Teen Wolf 1 was basketball.
Teen Wolf 2.
Wow. Teen Wolf 2, I'll say football.
Nope, they were boxing.
Oh man, wow!
Do you remember that movie at all? Do you remember that?
I remember Jason Bateman was in it. I remember the movie exists. I saw it, but I don't remember them boxing.
Yeah, boxing was their sport of choice.
All right.
Okay, so question number 4. Again, 80s movies. Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey starred in Dirty Dancing and one other 80s movie. What was it?
They both started together?
Yes, they started in Dirty Dancing and they starred in another one together. What was that movie?
Man. What else did Swayze do? Ghost, not Roadhouse. I don't know. Was she in Roadhouse? I'll say Roadhouse.
Nope, and you're going to kick yourself for this one. But they were both in Red Dawn.
Oh, yeah. Should have known that.
Okay. So, question number 5. Star Wars original trilogy.
All right. Come back here.
Next 2 questions. Okay. The Imperial droid on Hoth is also known by what name?
The one at the beginning?
Yeah, the one with the tentacles.
Yeah. Probe droid.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Probe droid or probot.
All right.
Okay, so in The Empire Strikes Back, on Cloud City specializes in what resource?
I don't know if it's specific enough, but ore?
No, it's a specific name. I'll give you another crack.
Wow. It's resource.
And they only mention it one time.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. What is it?
It's called Tibanna. Tibanna.
I don't even remember that.
I had to dig deep for that one.
All right.
Okay. Next two questions are 80s TV shows.
Okay.
Okay. What was Alf's girlfriend from Melmac's name?
Oh my God. Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
Very good. Rhonda. Yes.
Help me, Rhonda.
Okay. On Three's Company,
Jeez.
what is the name Chrissy short for?
Christmas.
Very good.
Christmas
you know
Snow.
your TV. Christmas Snow. Okay, and Disney movies, the last two questions.
All right.
Who was the first Disney princess?
Snow White.
Snow White, correct. And the last question. Name Cinderella's stepsisters.
I have no idea. I can't even try to guess that one.
So you give up on that one?
I give up on that one, yeah.
Okay. It's Anastasia and Drusilla.
Okay. All right. I don't feel bad about my Disney question.
So you got six out of 10.
All right.
6 out of 10.
Okay. All right. Now it's your turn. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm gonna start you out with 80s TV.
Okay.
What former baseball player played Mr. Belvedere's boss?
What's his name? I can see it. Bob Uecker.
Correct. Okay. Another 80s TV question also happens to be baseball related. What position did Sam Mayday Malone play for the Red Sox?
He was the pitcher.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Relief pitcher. Correct. All right.
Oh, relief pitcher. Okay. All
right. Star Wars.
Okay.
What is Emperor Palpatine's first name?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Sheev. Sheev Palpatine.
Sheev?
Sheev Palpatine. Isn't that right?
Okay.
Sheev. Okay, next Star Wars question. Besides Boba Fett, name 2 of the bounty hunters that Vader hires in Empire Strikes Back.
One of them's name was Bosk, and the another one I remember is IG-88.
Correct. The others are Dengar, Zuckuss, and Forlom. Okay, moving on to Disney. In Hercules, what are Hades' 2 henchmen's names?
Can you repeat that? You broke up.
In the movie Hercules, what are the names of Hades' 2 henchmen?
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Pain
no idea.
Pain and Panic.
Pain and Panic.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be something weird like that. Pain and Panic.
In The Fox and the Hound, what is the fox's name?
The fox had a name?
Mm-hmm.
They
both had names.
They both had names. They weren't called Fox and Hound?
No.
I don't know.
Believe it or not, his name was Todd. Todd is the name of the fox. The Fox and the Hound. Okay.
Okay.
The Godfather.
Uh-oh.
What is the name of Jack Woltz's ill-fated horse?
Oh my gosh.
I know you know it.
I'm trying to remember the scene. I'm gonna kick myself for this for not. I don't know. I'm drawing a big blank.
Do you want to come back to it? I'll let you pass.
No, just
okay.
Tell me what it is.
Khartoum.
Khartoum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. In The Godfather Part 2, Excuse me. In The Godfather Part 2, who was living in the Corleone's Long Island compound?
In The Godfather Part 2, who was living in the
Corleone's compound, the Corleone's house from the first movie?
Right. Peter Clemenza.
No. Frank Pantangeli. Clemenza did live there before he died. Pantangeli was living there in the movie.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, 80s movies.
I messed up on that one.
Yeah, that's an easy mistake. In 80s movies, who was Iceman's wingman in Top Gun?
His wingman. Was this when they were at the final scene when they were battling, or when they were in the school, the Top Gun school?
The guy that hung out with him, like the main one, that was like kind of his sidekick.
Oh, you mean his Rio, the guy that sat behind him?
Yeah.
Slider.
What was Slider? That's right. Yeah.
Slider.
That's correct. All right. In Gremlins, what movie are the Gremlins watching in the theater before it blows up?
Are they watching E.T.?
No, they're watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. All right, and that is 1, 2. You got 1, 2, 3. You got 4 correct.
4 right.
So I got the win there, but I will tell you my questions were a lot harder than yours. The ones I asked you were a lot harder, I should say. So I think we should grade you on a curve. But that was a good game. I appreciate that.
Good game.
Good game. We'll have to do this again. That was fun. I like getting the questions asked. I'm thinking about maybe doing something where every once in a while we'll have the guests have us compete against each other.
Interesting.
Maybe we'll do that sometime, because I was worried about this because I always go for the harder questions, and I think you took it easy on me. So we'll have to have somebody else ask us both, so it'll be neutral.
All right.
Awesome. But that was fun.
Okay.
All right. And the next time we got to do all Godfather, all Star Wars. I don't care. We'll do that. Go real deep with that. Sheev Palpatine. All right. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay, Asdruval, before we wrap things up, anything you want to add? Anything you got going on? Anything you want to share with the internet world?
I will be at Gen Con this year in August at the Restoration Games booth. Probably doing a little bit of time at the Dice Tower booth. And hopefully, if things go well, I will be on the Dice Tower live show.
Oh, cool.
So that won't be until August.
Okay.
Before then, it's Board Game Blender every other Thursday. You can check me out there. And that's all I got going on.
Awesome. Okay, I will be at Origins at some point, wandering around. If anybody wants to invite me into their booth, I'll gladly join them. I doubt that's going to happen, but I will be there as one of the many people wandering around. And I think that I'm going to I'm going to try to go to the World Board Game Championships this year, which are in Seven Springs, which is not too far from me. Again, if you're going to be there and you see me, say hi if I happen to make it. We'll talk about that more in a future episode, a couple weeks, here soon, within the next month or so. We might as well talk about what we have in store here. We're going to do an episode on, the upcoming summer gaming convention season, things like that. Also, we are trying to line up some guests, and Asdruval, if you're okay with me talking about it, I want to do an episode about solo gaming. You talked about solo gaming a little bit today. Something I know you're into, something I just haven't been able to find kind of an attachment to. I got questions that I want to ask. I know you're going to answer some of them for me. We're going to try and get a guest in here, some experts who will be able to answer my questions and hopefully convert me, turn me into a solitaire gamer. So that's what we got on the docket here, coming up soon within the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks here. Hopefully that'll be our episodes. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you liked it, give it the thumbs up. Leave some comments. Tell us what you thought. Tell us how many questions you were able to get right and Stump the Chump there. Which questions did you know? Who had the harder questions? So thanks again for watching. Asdruval, thank you for joining me. I'll see you again in 2 weeks.
No problem. Okay.
Have a good time out there.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot.